What if you stopped eating for 3 days? We've been programmed to nourish our body to heal, right? Before you buy into that, let me just turn your universe upside down for a minute and just hear me out. There's one single problem behind all chronic disease, including cancer, and that is insulin resistance. You don't get insulin resistance by not eating. You get insulin resistance by eating too frequently. Too much insulin that leads to insulin resistance blocks the cells from getting any fuel. When we overnourish our body by eating too frequently, we create this insulin resistant situation. Every single person that has a slow metabolism, they went on many diets. And the diets that destroy the metabolism the most, where you're going to be eating 5 to 6 small meals a day. And so you're going to snack before a meal so you don't overeat, because this crazy idea that too many calories equal weight gain. Actually, it's more of the frequency of meals that creates insulin resistance, that creates chronic disease, that will make you very, very overweight. But when we start to not eat so frequently and we start to do intermittent fasting, things start turning around. Let's get into the benefits of intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting. If you were to eat right now, your insulin will go up. And because insulin is going to go up, that higher insulin is going to prevent a lot of good things that are going to happen. Let's say you're going to fast for 18 hours and then you're going to eat at, let's say, 12 o'clock noon, and then you'll eat at 6 o'clock. So that's a 6-hour eating window, and then you have an 18-hour fasting window. A lot of benefits are going to happen if you do that, okay? You're going to lose weight in your midsection. You are going to feel better mentally. Your mood will come up, and your inflammation will start going down as well. When you do intermittent fasting, you're not really tapping in to all the stored sugar in your liver unless you start doing prolonged fasting. So let's say, for example, we're fasting from 24 hours one day to 48 hours 2 days. What's going to happen when you start doing this is you are going to take the benefits that I just mentioned and start to turn them way up. And one thing that's going to happen is you're going to deplete most of your glycogen in your liver. It's like a sponge with water. You're holding a lot of fluid. So in other words, you're going to lose a good amount of weight. And some people mistake that with actual fat loss. It's actually water loss. This is why when you start doing prolonged fasting, you'll lose the water first and then it plateaus. That doesn't mean it's not working. It just means that you dumped a lot of water with that stored sugar. When you start doing prolonged fasting, 1 to 2 days, you are going to be burning mostly ketones. 87% of your fuel is ketones. You're not feeding your microbes, but they're thriving. Your hormones, especially human growth hormone, will start to go straight up and vertical. In men, you can increase that growth hormone when you do fasting by 2,000%. So you're not going to be losing muscle, but it actually will help the growth of muscle, but it'll also help the burning of fat. It's one of the most powerful fat-burning hormones. You're going to notice the benefits on your brain because you have a higher level of ketones feeding the neurons. Autophagy is going to kick in. Autophagy is where you're taking the junk and you're turning it into new cells. So think of the self-cleaning oven, and it's a magical process where you have to get certain resources and fuel from somewhere. And so your body will definitely tap into your fat, but it will also tap into stuff that's not really needed in the body. And it starts to convert that into very valuable resources that your body needs. You see, you cannot go into autophagy when you nourish your body, when you're eating. Even when you take supplements, you're not going to significantly increase autophagy. It's only when you don't eat. Prolonged fasting allows you to prune your brain and it allows you to build new brain cells. You only do that to a certain degree, but with intermittent fasting, but a lot more when you do prolonged fasting. Insulin powerfully shuts down autophagy. Insulin shuts down fat burning. It shuts down the regrowing of the brain cells. And with that, what happens when you fast longer? Let's say we're going to go to 72 hours. Autophagy starts cleaning up intracellular pathogens. I'm talking about viruses. I'm talking about Epstein-Barr virus, even the herpes virus. Do you realize that there's no drug or even no supplement that can actually get rid of these latent viruses? The only way to get rid of them is through prolonged fasting. But not only that, when you start to go up into 3 days of fasting, you start to stimulate your immune system, the thing that actually protects you against cancer, autoimmune diseases. I mean, we're just told all these ideas that we have to nourish the body to get healthy. No, we actually don't. There's no doubt we need to nourish our body when we eat, but prolonged fasting transforms your health in so many different ways. You can do stem cell therapy. Some of the therapy is like $50,000. Well, guess what? You can get stem cell therapy for free by just not eating. And also, I wanted to point out the inspiration for this video is from this book, Metabolic Freedom by Ben Azadi. I highly recommend you get it. I'll put a link down below in the description. Here's a couple last minute tips. When you're doing a water fast, whether it's intermittent fasting or prolonged fasting, you're not eating anything except you're drinking water. And so what breaks that fast is a certain amount of calories. So you wouldn't want to consume bone broth, for example. But you could do coffee, you could do tea. Why? Because it doesn't have any calories. It's when you add in certain things that you have a problem. Very important thing to note when you do intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting is to have enough sea salt. If you don't have enough sodium, you will feel tired. So when you're doing intermittent fasting, make sure you add a little more sea salt, and probably like a teaspoon per day spread out, and you can mix it with water. And I also recommend you do other electrolytes like potassium and magnesium, because if you're deficient going into a prolonged fast, those deficiencies are exaggerated. I want to say one last important thing. You can really mess yourself up when you do refeeding after a 3-day fast. Don't make the mistake that I made where I just started loading my body up with all this food. I got very sick. Maybe started with some bone broth, wait a little bit, have a little bit of steamed vegetable, wait a little bit, have an egg, and then you let that settle for several hours, and then have a slightly bigger meal. Maybe the following day, go back to your normal meals. But the point is, the worst thing you could do is have a lot of carbohydrates or introducing food after a prolonged fast. That would be the worst mistake. So to get all the details on how to do prolonged fasting, you should watch this video right here. Hey, before you leave, I just wanted to give you a little quick history on some of the books that I wrote. This was one of the first books. It's called Dr. Berg Body Shapes. It was my attempt at writing about body types. What was very interesting about this book is I actually did all the images myself. Don't ask me why. They look actually not quite as professional as some of the images that I have in the new book. But anyway, this is my first attempt right here called Dr. Berg's Body Shape Diets. And then I wrote a book more extensive called The 7 Principles of Fat Burning. I don't even have a copy anymore, actually, because it's outdated. The next book, I put about 1,000 hours into this one right here called The New Body Type Guide. Major updates on the body types. I put a lot of energy into this. It has professional images, graphics, all sorts of things. Now, the problem with this book is it doesn't really describe what this is really about. Body types are only a small portion of what's in this book. And that's why I changed the name to the Healthy Keto Plan, okay? If you happen to have this book, you don't really need this book because there's only very, very minor updates. But if you don't have this, you need to get this one right here. This book goes into every single detail that you would ever want to know about. It goes into the 7 principles of fat burning. It goes into hormones, the body types, the basic keto plan. It goes into intermittent fasting. I talk about the 10 fat burning triggers and blockers and fat burning strategies, with a lot of details in every single chapter. I go into body issues that interfere with losing weight. There's very few people that just have a weight problem. They have a lot of body issues, whether it's sleeping problems, stress problems, inflammation, menopause. I cover that extensively in this book. Then I talk about how to get rid of stress, and I show you a technique. Then I get into exercising. And then I have a lot of really good recipes in this book as well. So this is a good reference guide. On my website, if you get this book, you get this one free. It's called Healthy Keto and Intermittent Fasting. This is the shortcut, quick guide to this book. And the reason I created this book is to have you, within 45 minutes, learn how to do keto, okay, in intermittent fasting, exactly what you need to do. Then you can fill in the blanks with this book right here. So right now I'm doing a special. If you get this book, you get this one totally free, or you can go to Amazon and get these individually. So I just want to clarify the difference between this book and this updated one right here. If you don't have this, you need to get this right here. That way you can get the exact correct information to do it healthily.